Hello, everybody. My name is Mondre Moffett, and this is Black Music Footprints, a jazz experience. I am so delighted to be here with you tonight. And today, we have on today's show one of the young lions of jazz music of the 21st century, a gentleman by the name of LYNN GRISSETT. And I want to welcome LYNN to the studio. LYNN, can you hear me very well?
Good evening.
Good evening, my man. Oh, it's been a minute since I've spoken to you, right? And I said that, I'm doing this show on Black music.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. I want to make sure your voice is kind of low, but I want to make sure that we can hear one another because, it's important that we can converse after all of these years that we've known one another. I was when I asked you to do this, I went through my photos and I run across a photo of you and I and Wallace Roney at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro, Miles Davis School of Music. And Wallace Roney, who is no longer with us, my dear brother, he was doing a workshop, and you came to my school and you asked me to pick up Wallace at the airport because you knew that we were friends. You remember that? You remember these times? You remember that? This was back, this may have been 8 or 9 years ago, right? Because Wallace has not been with us for a minute. You were one of those guys that I met that's a part of a great trumpet lineage that one would immediately recognize. And I know, of course, I might as well mention parenthetically that I know you play tenor saxophone very well, and you've been doing a lot of those other instruments besides trumpet. But the first time I got the same feeling when I heard you play, it's that I got when the first time I heard Roy Hargrove play. When Roy Hargrove was only 15 years old in Fort Worth, Texas at the Caravan of Dreams. My band was playing there. I was playing with my dad, and Roy came by and set in. This is before he went, of course, to New York, before he went to Boston and all that. And everybody in Fort Worth knew that he was the cat, And it's just one of those feelings that you get. Mm-hmm. And then the same feeling when I heard Nicholas Payton at 15, playing in Oakland, California at Yoshi's with Ellis Marcellus. Ellis had a trio featuring Nicholas Payton, and his mother said, you can't leave New Orleans until, I guess, you're at least 15 or 16. So he was able to go on a summer tour with Ellis, and I hung out with him for a week. And we bonded. We've never forgot that connection that we've had since then. And then, of course, Wallace Roney. And then, because I love Miles Davis. So Wallace was Miles's cat. And then the relationship I had with Kenny Garrett introducing me to Miles. And so I'm saying, LYNN, you are in that circle. Yeah, the concept for this show, as I was saying, is called Black Music Footprints. And so we're walking in the footsteps of giants. And so I see you as walking in the footsteps of giants and even doing more than that in setting a new trail as a trailblazer. In terms of your spirit, in terms of your sound, you have been that's really special, sweet. You had those sweet spots on the horn that was rare and unique in the likes of, like I said before, with the Wallaces and the Roy Hargroves especially, and the Nicholas Paytons of life, and all those trumpet players. We trumpet players, let's face it, we're kings, and so and it's a leading instrument. It's a lead. When Marcellus said once, he said if you were on a bandstand and a fight broke out, it's probably two trumpet players fighting, because we have that type of personality, that aggressiveness when we need to be, but yet you can make the trumpet sound sweet, and you definitely could do that. Man, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. I'm first of all, I'm so glad to see you again. It's been many years since I've seen you.
Yes. A few jam sessions, I
Yeah.
last saw you. And but I've been here about 2.5 years in Louisville. I teach at HBCU, Simmons
Hmm.
College of Kentucky. We're starting a jazz program there. I'm doing it all over again because you know my work that I did at A&T State University. Uh, Always in competition, I might say, with the University of North Carolina Miles Davis School. I wanted my group. I wanted the A&T to represent, the culture and the music,
Right.
uh, uh, and take its rightful place of ownership of that music.
Right.
With the kind of pride that our leading figures have left us with. We always come out, we dress fine, we dress nice, we on time, and we play the
Hmm.
music, and we even play the blues. So I wanted to ask you, well, I'm gonna put it this way: what was the first song, whether it's jazz or not? What was the first song that you can remember that you learned on the trumpet?
Hmm. Probably closer walk with thee. Probably.
What?
Well, yeah, because playing in church. I very rarely played in church, but the one time that I did, before the age of 17 or 18, it was just a closer walk with thee. So I had to learn that, and also His Eyes on the Sparrow. So I had to learn songs like that, and it's a serious thing. It's nothing to play around with. So I learned early to
So
take
one
a
of the first
performance.
songs you learned was
Hmm.
"A Closer Walk with Thee." That's pretty deep, because I think that everything you did after that was connected to that closer walk.
I believe so. I
Yeah,
believe
that
so.
makes a lot of sense. I was interviewed once, and I was in Atlanta, and a guy asked me, he threw me for a loop. He asked me, Moffett, what was the first sound that you heard that you can remember? The first
Mm.
sound that you can remember. And I'm going to ask you that question. What was, as far back as you remember, what was the first
Mm.
sound that you can remember?
That's a tough one, and I've never really even asked myself that question before.
I had to do some soul searching for that one.
Yeah, yeah, mm, I gotta process that one.
Yeah, that's
I'll have an answer though. I'll have an answer. I gotta compute that.
I can appreciate that. You
Yeah,
get back to me
yeah.
on that one.
I will. I will.
Because
I
yeah, it
will.
takes some contemplation.
Hmm.
Well, the interviewer told me the day before that he was going to ask me that question, and I
Oh,
had
they,
I
they
had a chance a day to think about
we'll see. You
it.
had
So
time to reflect.
I had an answer.
Really think
I
about
had
it.
an answer for him that was pretty deep. Well, the first sound that I can remember hearing was the sound of the drums and trumpet. My dad played trumpet and drums,
Hmm.
sometimes simultaneously. And
Yeah.
so the first sound that I really heard really was the drums, and then the trumpet shortly after.
Hmm.
That was my answer. But I even went deeper than that, but and thought even further back to the womb. You know,
Mm.
uh,
Okay. Yeah.
I may not heard the sound, but it had to exist because I'm here. I was born, and it had to be sound involved in that.
For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So you came up playing the trumpet. I know you from Wilmington, North Carolina. You must have had some good teachers coming up.
I had some great teachers coming up. I was fortunate to to work with to learn from a guy named Craig Morris. He's a retired band director here in Brunswick County School area, um, which is where I'm from. So I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina,
Are you in Wilmington
raised in.
now?
I am now. Yes.
Wow. Okay. What
Yeah.
instrument did
So
Fred play? Did you know if
he
he
played
played?
trumpet. He played trumpet.
Really?
He played trumpet. Yeah. So he gave me my first trumpet lesson, and I learned so much from those first two lessons that um, he had, I guess at one point he had a hard time, you know, giving me material that would be a challenge for me that I would have to chew on for a while to get proficient in.
What grade were you in at this time?
Oh, I first met Mr. Morris freshman year of high school, so that was 1999 probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit more about that. We're going to on the other side of the break, we have a little commercial break. It's going to take about a minute or so, and we'll get back with you with LYNN GRISSETT.
All right.
Did you know that the word alma mater comes from the Latin meaning nurturing mother? One of our primary objectives at Simmons College of Kentucky is to nurture late bloomers. So it doesn't matter if you struggle through high school just to graduate, or even if you earn your GED. We don't look at a student's past, we look at their potential. Simmons College of Kentucky, creating the next generation of thinkers.
Yeah, we're back with LYNN GRISSETT. LYNN, I want to know what moment or event, at what moment in time that you knew that you really wanted to be a musician and you were going to play trumpet, or if that was a moment that exists like that, maybe you may be feeling like, you know, this is just strictly a way of life for you. I don't know.
Well, as far as trumpet, you know, I was kind of playing it because I just wanted to be in, you know, a middle school band. You know, I wanted to play anything. I just wanted to be in the band. The first time I heard something that really got me interested in trumpet was my father has an album called Someday My Prince Will Come, Miles Davis Quintet. So, you know, the really pretty lady on the cover.
Yeah.
So I listened to that, and you know, I listened to that record. That was the first time I heard it. And he had like this weird thing that was stuffed up the bell of the trumpet, and I didn't know what that was, didn't know what was going on with that. So did some research, and I found out it was a harmony. So once I found out about the harmony, then that got me interested in it as well. I can kind of make a sound that's close to what I'm hearing on this record, and it started to kind of get my gears turning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was just me, you know, just kind of nerding out on the instrument. Now, I didn't know that I really wanted to be a musician until the first time I found the CD by Quincy Jones. It's called Back on the Block. Mm-hmm. So I heard like that the whole you have such a broad scope of music on that record, and I said I want to do stuff like this. I want to play music like this. I want to create this stuff like this. This is what I want to do. And I just knew that. I just knew that was the first thing I was ever really sure of, you know, in life.
Yeah. Now, you said two names that was important in terms of this music legacy. You mentioned Miles Davis, yes, and you mentioned Quincy Jones.
Yes.
I don't think you can go wrong with those two.
No.
And both of those two, their paths always crossed. And you know, Quincy come up in that thing, man, with the big bands and Lionel Hampton and the small groups, just the many diversity. And so Quincy was a big influence. I can see that in your character now, in your music, in your musicality, that kind of diversity. That eventually led you to actually playing with Prince. I don't know. Next thing I know, man, Cat say, man, LYNN was coming by my office over at A&T just to say hello. Next thing said, man, LYNN is playing with Prince right now. Okay, he didn't have time to come by.
Yeah.
And so Quincy was a big influence. I can see that in your character now, in your music, in your musicality, that kind of diversity. That eventually led you to actually playing with Prince. I don't know. Next thing I know, man, Cat say, man, Lynn was coming by my office over at A&T just to say hello. Next thing said, man, Lynn is playing with Prince right now. Okay, he didn't have time to come by.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
that was an experience.
I said, oh yeah, okay. I wasn't really surprised, but how did that? What was that like, playing with Prince, and then maybe the last several years of his life?
Yeah. That was. It's nothing that you could ever make up. You know, the entire situation was like a dream.
You know I didn't even care. Oh, they say to 000 party over, it's out of time. Side to side, y'all, side to side. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. What year is this? I was dreaming when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too bad.
Unbelievable. Like anything that you would imagine it being like, more than likely it was like that. If that makes if that makes any sense. You know, he as far as not only musically, but also personally. You know, definitely one of the top 2, maybe 3 people that I've ever worked for. And never had an opportunity and a privilege to make music with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he allowed us, and it was really special because he allowed us to create and would give us, you know, credit for our work. That was something that I don't think any of us really anticipated. You know, so the time I had with him was one I will cherish for the rest of my time here and beyond.
Yeah, he was definitely beyond category, I would say. Kind of like Duke Ellington, beyond category, those kind of guys.
Yes.
Duke Ellington, he liked to see other people's creativity. I mean, he dedicated his life for others' creativity, to other musicians' creativity to shine. For example, he wrote for these musicians and step aside and let them create. Playing really sometimes very little piano, although he was very, very prolific on piano. But he allowed his musicians for their attributes to come forward.
Yes.
And the way you describe Prince is kind of like the same kind of thing, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're all, for lack of a better way of saying it, cut from the same cloth. Like all the people that we've mentioned that have contributed to society in the ways that they have. You know, he's definitely like a, you know, and another thing, you know, him as a composer, Prince is on the same level of anyone that you could think of, you know, that I can think of in history, past, present, current, you know. It's just elite.
Yeah, that was a very good thing that happened to you, huh?
Yes, because I learned the big picture. You know what we as musicians, what our responsibility is.
Yeah. You travel the world with him, and it's just, I remember those days. But yet you did never lose a common touch, because, you know, I would hear about you playing gigs when you got back at home, in Durham. I would hear that Bradford is coming down and playing in your band, like sitting in and encouraging you, pushing you further. So that's why you remind me of Roy Hargrove. Because if Roy Hargrove was not out on tour, you can always find him, at the Blue Note at late hours or down at Smalls, working on his stuff, working on his craft. He was a craftsman, constantly working to the wee hours of the night. No matter how big he was. I mean, he could go and sell out places, but yet when he was at home, you could see him sitting at really intimate settings and working on his music. And so that's what musicians do. That's what real artists are constantly trying to elevate their craft. I saw you on a YouTube with Prince in Switzerland. And then I see that I have some clippings of you in the jam session. Let's see if I can hear a little of this.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it was hard to cut off.
That was. I'm trying to. This is definitely a live situation.
Yeah. Well, I can explain to the audience that from the moment you heard Miles play, it's interesting that you're playing this Love for Sale, a tribute to Miles.
Yes.
This is, in recent times, I guess I would say, from the time that you did Someday My Prince Will Come with the muted trumpet, that was you inspired. And so here's the fruits of all that, of that tree. Later, it's amazing how, the tree keeps blooming and you're still using that harmon mute. It's so reminiscent of Miles. But you can hear, it's a modern type of Miles Davis, Love for Sale. He really made that piece absolutely famous with that standard.
Well, I mean, I can tell that all the greats, they really loved strong melodies, because I think they're probably the easiest to attempt improvisation. Something like a really strong melody, like a melody that'll be clear and you can hear a song in it, regardless of how it's played, whether it's someone singing it, whether you have like someone that's playing piano, guitar, a solo instrument like we play, like trumpet. Strong melodies are they last so long, and they stay in people's minds and in their hearts, and you can. An artist has the best time expressing his or herself with a strong melody like Love for Sale. So that's why I love listening to people like Miles, people that can do so much with not a lot of fanfare. More of a vocalist approach. Someone singing to you rather than someone kind of outlining each part of a chord. I was just always really attracted to that. People that played as if they were singing. Miles is definitely, as far as trumpet player, is number one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, Miles really understood that early on, and you know, I think he admired people like Billie Holiday, and a lot of singers
Mm-hmm.
were a lot of he peeped a lot of singers as his influence. You know, Sarah Vaughan, that Carl McRae, and you know, many of them like that. Even Frank Sinatra, people like that. You know,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. So you've had a stellar career. We're now in 2021. You work with Prince. You've had these experiences. I think you finished your master's program. I think at Central or something like that. You finished your master's.
Yes.
And so what are some of the things that you kind of want to do these days? What's next for Lynn?
For me, I want to teach. I want to teach, and I also I want to record not only my compositions but other people's compositions. You know, I'm into all anything I can do involving the arts. I'm into it. You know, and I'm learning about it. You know, I'm one of those people that I just believe in getting as much information as you can. You know,
that's great.
It's going to be hard to master one thing, which is you know, playing trumpet. So that's a full-time situation for the rest of my life, which I love. You know, but I'm also into helping others. You know, if someone needs to be recorded or people that need music for whatever, you know, I'm all about that. So what I see for myself in the future is to continue to be a musician. Also, I have my own music that I'm almost finished with. I have a record that I would like to release by May of next year. So it's a full-length record that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and it's all original music, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely keep you posted on it. Like I said, you know, it's basically pretty much everything that's influenced me from the beginning. Question that you asked me earlier to this moment right here. All those things are kind of inspired what I'm working on. So,
yeah. Good to hear that you're going to be on the front line, passing down that information, passing down that lineage to the younger musicians coming behind you. At the close of my show, I usually throw out a name. We're out of time, but I will throw out a few names to you and see if you can respond to the names saying 5 words or less. All right? Charlie Parker.
Incomparable.
Dizzy Gillespie.
The Godfather.
The Godfather. Clifford Brown.
The Nile River.
Wow. Prince.
Nonpareil.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Lynn, man, for joining me here on SSC Live TV, where truth, justice, and power always prevail. You've been a great guest. I'm looking forward to hearing your music in the future. You guys out there, look out for LYNN GRISSETT, fantastic musician of the 21st century.
Thank you, Dr. Moffitt. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's a wrap.
Okay.